It's being billed as a big announcement expected today from the federal housing minister as the government tries to address the country's housing crisis. Sean Fraser, the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, joins me now with more of what we could expect. Good morning to you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. You know, 'tis the season. People are thinking of going home for the holidays, but the reality is there aren't enough homes for Canadians right now. There is a lack of housing, a lack of affordable housing, and Christmas is in about 4 days. Not expecting a fix before then. But can we expect significant improvement? What would that look like by, say, this time next year?
Well, look, thanks very much for the opportunity. And there's no question that we're living in a housing crisis, and it's having a very real impact on people. Students who can't find a place they can afford near their classes, young people who are trying to find a job and a place they can afford in the same city, and people who grew up in a city not being able to remain in the place that they've always called home. It doesn't have to be that way. One of the reasons that we're running into the challenges that we face today is we've made it very difficult to build homes in this country through municipal red tape, permitting process that are slow. Toronto's a good example. The biggest city in the country with the slowest permitting process. We don't have to accept that that's the way that it has to be. We've got an announcement coming this morning that will invest hundreds of millions of dollars, but more important than the number of dollars is the number of homes that we can add to the city stock. Tens of thousands of homes as a result of systemic changes that will add more density near transit, add more density near more post-secondary, reduce the permitting time, and create an opportunity for people to build homes more quickly. Over the course of the next couple of years, I expect we can add thousands of homes, but the changes that we're going to be making today are going to have a permanent impact as a result of systemic reforms that are going to get homes built more quickly.
You're also looking to this wartime era plan. What's that looking like?
So it's really exciting. Sometimes we can identify solutions for today from our nation's history. After the Second World War, Wartime Housing Limited, a Crown corporation, started building prefabricated homes with a similar design right across the country. We will have all seen Victory Homes or Strawberry Box Homes that they've been come to known. We want to take that idea and bring it into the 21st century. We're developing a catalog of pre-approved designs that will build the kinds of homes that our communities need today. This is going to reduce the cost for people trying to get into the sector by avoiding the need to go hire an architect to design your own building. It's going to mirror the building codes that we have in provinces across the country. And we're going to work with municipalities to ensure that we can have as many pre-approvals as possible. So if you decide to build something that we can create an economy of scale for, you're going to cruise through the approval process to actually get to yes more quickly. This is a solution that I expect will see significant uptake and reduce the cost of building overall at the same time.
You're fairly new on this job as housing minister. We've been seeing a lot of announcements from you lately. We've been hearing about this wartime era strategy that you're leaning on right now. But this isn't a wartime era. And we are seeing this flood of new things happening now. But I wonder if you're a little late on it all. Did the federal government fail to see the iceberg ahead?
You know, some of the challenges that we observed when we first came into office around 2015 were more squarely focused on the need to build out affordable housing for low-income families, and we must still do that. We have a 30-year gap in Canada's history of the federal government, both Liberal and Conservative governments, I should acknowledge, that chose not to make investments in public housing. We changed that with the National Housing Strategy in 2017, but what we've seen over the course of the last couple of years, in particular since the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the interest rate environment has changed, as many investors have bought up housing stock when interest rates were low, we've seen an extraordinary pinch in the market that is increasing the cost not just for low-income families, but middle-class families and the working class more broadly. Since September, you will have seen a significant change in the pace of policy advances to try to address that wider spectrum of needs when it comes to building housing. We're doing what we can to reduce the cost of building, to make the math work for builders. We're making investments directly in affordable housing. We're changing the city way that cities build homes through the Housing Accelerator Fund, and the next stage will involve an industrial capacity, industrial strategy rather, including the pre-approved designs that we're working on to help grow the capacity of the workforce to produce homes. We need to clear all of these blockages and more if we're going to solve the national housing crisis, but I'm optimistic that we can do it because I speak with the people who have the solutions now.
You don't need me to tell you that the Conservatives have a comfortable lead over the Liberals right now. Your party needs a win. I wonder if the Liberals are looking at the housing crisis as this issue being an area where they might be able to find that success.
I think it's really dangerous when people like me focus on creating a win for their party. Canadians need a win. What we need to do is build out the housing stock so people can find a place they can afford. Ultimately, people are not going to cast their vote based on who gets the best news story, who puts out the flashiest video. They're going to make an assessment about whether the government is thinking about them when they're making policies. My focus is on the people who want to be able to age in the same community where their grandkids are being raised. It's about young people who don't have to live an hour away from their classes so they can actually focus on their studies. It's about creating opportunity for young peoples to find a place they can rent today, but see that there is hope that they might own a place in the future. My view is that if we remain focused on who we're trying to help rather than the interest of our political party, we will be well served when it comes to election time by meeting the interest of the people who have needs.
Minister, we're running out of time right now, but you do have that announcement coming up today. The Prime Minister is going to be there. Mayor Olivia Chow, the Mayor of Toronto, is going to be there. And I think I counted 4 other ministers. This sounds like a big deal. What can we expect?
Look, you will see the largest single investment through the Housing Accelerator Fund to date. It will be more than twice the size of the largest that we've got on the books.
You've hinted at hundreds of millions already.
Yeah, that's right. And you should expect to see that the announcement today is going to permanently change the way that Toronto allows homes to be built.
Okay.
It's going to improve density where in places where services exist. It's going to ensure that we continue to work towards a complete community by adding density where people can live and fully participate in their community. But what's more exciting than the dollar figure is the number of homes that the city's going to be able to add as a result, because we know Toronto's housing crisis is Canada's housing crisis in a lot of ways. This drive till you qualify phenomenon doesn't have to be the way we accept things, and we can make serious changes as a result of the deal that we struck with Toronto today.
Housing Minister Sean Fraser joining us live here on BT. We're going to toss. Oh, by the way, wanted to mention too, that announcement, you can check it out, citynews.ca. We'll be streaming it live. It's going to happen in less than 3 hours from now. Let's toss things over to Frank with a look at your forecast.